And there are plenty of lawyer jokes. How many of you have got a law degree? Most people don't admit it anyway. How many of you have children who are studying law or have got a law degree? Interestingly, I was on the Law Institute Council while I was practicing law, and the survey showed many thousands of people that the Law Institute of Victoria undertook that 80% of the population considers lawyers to be dishonest, and 80% of people want their kids to be lawyers. So what conclusion would you draw from that? Isn't that amazing? Why did I leave the law? I left the law so that I could share with you, share with other Australians, share with people around the world, as I have done, the power of your passion. The clue between your passion and world-class performance. And even though I was passionate about the law and wanted to be a lawyer all my life, from the age of 6, and I loved doing it, I didn't stop being a lawyer because I stopped being passionate about it. I learnt by attending programs like this about education, that education is more important than law. There are plenty of lawyers. I was a tax lawyer. Tax was my main area of expertise. And I let that go because this is a bigger game to play. This is more important. So, as I said, my income went from $1 million a year to nothing. And in that 15 years since 1993, it's been quite amazing how many people have changed their lives. Quite amazing. And I told you I had a bunch of testimonials. Well, I just want to share a couple with you. Janelle, who's a director of Conference Focus, she says, not very often we acknowledge an inspirational purpose when they cross your path in life. However, you are an inspiration. I keep your book on my desk and daily flick for a few positive prods. I just want to say thank you. Now, these I didn't ask for these letters, I promise you. This comes unsolicited to me. And then Tammy Van Wiss is a world open water swimming champion. Would you think she'd be motivated? I really enjoyed meeting you and listening to you speak. It was very inspirational. It helped me to understand more clearly why I do what I do. It's funny to say that, but before I started speaking, she's now on the speaking circuit, I never really did understand what drove me, how I stayed motivated and set goals. It really was just something that I did without thinking about it. Here's a world champion who didn't think about it. I'm really looking forward to reading your book and receiving your regular passion points to ponder. After all, we can all do with some extra motivation. See, and some people say, there's no point having a motivational session because it only lasts for how long? How long? Not 30 seconds. I'm a bit better than 30 seconds. What? Well, it lasts this time. No, you've been to sessions before. It has an impact on you, doesn't it? It has an impact. But then after a while it wears off, doesn't it? So you go, what's the point? Well, how many of you had a shower today? And who had one yesterday? Well, hang on. How long does your shower last? And the point is, stop expecting to come and listen to me and all your problems to be fixed, because one, they're not going to be fixed. What's your reward for solving your problems? More problems and bigger problems. So stop thinking, when I'm good enough, I won't have problems, number one. But number two, you feed your body, don't you? How many times a day do you eat? Don't answer on the grounds that might incriminate you. That might be one of your weirdnesses. How many times do you eat a day? 3 bloody times a day. Why? Because you're hungry. So what about nurturing your mind? After you have a mental laxative known as Charles Kovess, to get unconstipated. Nurture your mind. Nurture your spirit. Stop thinking that all you have to do is nurture your body because you pay a price. And thank you for your honesty. Yesterday we're going to talk about how you get on the game of losing weight. And from now on, you will never again say losing weight. Never again. What you want to do is burn fat. Say, burn fat. Please write that down. Burn fat. You are not in the business of losing weight, because when you talk about losing weight, what is your mind focusing on? Weight. You're burning fat. That's your regime. Now, you feed your body, but you don't feed your mind enough, and you don't feed your soul or your spirit or your heart enough. And you've come here today, but this journey has to continue. And Tammy is a classic. Like, here's a world champion. Says, hey, we all need motivation regularly. Secondly, world champions. Can you name me, take swimming, take athletics, can you name me a world champion who does not have a coach? Think about that. Think about that. The best in the world. I haven't found a world champion that doesn't have a coach, but you might know one. I'm a world champion, Charles Kovess. As David said, he's never met a better one than me. And you're all weirdos, so there's not a better one of you. But I have a coach. In fact, I have 2 coaches that help me on the journey stay 6 or 7 steps ahead of you so I can help you. But we need the repetition. Jackie McLean, Special Events Coordinator, she says, for some unearthly reason, I awoke this morning at 4:30 a.m. and changed my overnight radio station from ABC Classic FM to ABC Local Radio. Wow, I was lucky to hear Charles Kovess speaking to Libby Gore. And I think that half hour is about to change my life. I'll be ordering the books Passionate People Produce and Passionate Performance today. And she works in the office of post-compulsory education and training. I thought, gee whiz, what a lovely thing to say. And that's what the 1% solution is about. You get an insight. Hopefully you're sitting here and you go, hey, it's about time that I continued my journey. It's about time that I continued my journey of letting out this dam full of passion that you have. And not just this much, but you let out this much. You know, you've got all these resources here. You've got this dam full of water driving this hydroelectricity generating scheme. You've got all this energy available to you. Are you using it? And the answer is, as you told me yesterday, less than 20% of Australians are letting it out. What stops you from letting it all out? What has stopped you so far? And remember, unless you're 90, all those objections, forget all those objections. So the question is, are you ready for change? Are you ready for change? It reminds me of Tony Robbins. Who's done a Tony Robbins program? Who hasn't done one? Who doesn't know who Tony Robbins is? By the way, a question that I meant to ask you yesterday, how many of you have children? How many have grandchildren? How many don't know that they've got children? Joe, put your hand up. The ideas I'm sharing with you are so important. Not if you say this is not relevant to me, but what about your children? What about your grandchildren? What role models are they looking at? What role models are they looking at to go, hey, that's the way I want to live my life? My view on Gen Y, we go, they're so different, you know, baby boomers to Gen X to Gen Y. My response to that is bullshit. The principles that apply to human behaviour have applied for 10,000 years. The principles I'm sharing with you are consistent with all the great teachings that we have available to us. Nothing that I say is contrary to the Bible, to any great teachings that I've been able to find, to Buddhism, to Hinduism. All right? This is the way human beings function. And people say Gen Y kids aren't willing to commit. Who's heard that? Gen Y kids are different. Well, I've raised 4 of them. Rebecca was born in 1981. It's bullshit that they're different. It's bullshit. They're no more different than each one of you is different to each other in this room, are weirdos. They are weirdos, but you say it's a big group. What's the difference between them? What do these kids want? I have been to, my wife goes to a Christian church, and I've been there where the pastor is up there saying to these 20-year-old kids, by the way, what generation dominates the ranks of AFL football and NRL rugby? What generation? Gen Y? No. The players are Gen Y. They've spent years and years and years, since the age of 8, they were passionate about football, practicing this with a long-term vision to play AFL football. Who says Gen Y kids aren't motivated? But you have to give them a reason. Just like you need a reason. We need a reason. Why should I change? Why should I change? And if you give these kids a reason, they'll do it. I've seen this pastor up there talking to these 20, 22-year-old kids say, come on a mission to Russia, where you might get killed because they're not allowed to have Christianity. Come on a mission to Kazakhstan and China, where you're not allowed to be. We work underground. And these kids, 20, 22 years of age, go for 1, 2 and 3 years.